We are currently in the midst of a property downturn, but we're not seeing the worst conditions in 30 years. Sydney prices have now fallen just over 5% from peak, whereas in Melbourne we've seen a 2.5% decline from peak. Elsewhere across Australia, conditions are far more varied. For property markets to crash, we typically need 3 conditions. Right now, we're only seeing 2 of them. The first condition is restrictions to finance. And since the announcement of the Royal Commission, we have certainly seen that across Australia. The second is a change in sentiment. And we've seen on realestate.com.au a pullback in buyer behaviour, particularly in Melbourne and Sydney. The third condition for a price crash is rising unemployment. And at this stage, we're not seeing rising unemployment pretty much anywhere in Australia. Beyond mid-2019, the outlook for the market is more uncertain, as we have 2 factors to contend with. The first is the completion of the Royal Commission, and the second is the outcome of the federal election. In Sydney, we're seeing the middle price suburbs hardest hit. Premium and lower cost suburbs are still doing okay. Prices are falling in Melbourne, but it is continuing to hold up better than Sydney. From the peak, prices have now fallen by 2.5%. The falls in Melbourne are being cushioned by strong demand. The inner west of Melbourne is a top performer in that city at the moment, with prices up 1.8%. The suburb in Australia seeing the most rapid rise in popularity on realestate.com.au is Carlton, which means that this suburb is likely to outperform the market in 2019. We're seeing some of the top performers in Australia in regional Victoria. Places like Geelong, Ballarat, Bendigo and Gippsland are seeing very high views per listing and also strong price growth. The Brisbane market continues to defy the odds, despite overdevelopment of apartments and the same pressures that the market is facing nationally. Nevertheless, prices remain flat. The Gold Coast appears to have recovered from its post-Commonwealth Games hangover. Prices are now up 30% in Main Beach and 13% in Currumbin. The Canberra market is one of the top performers in Australia at the moment, and a change of government will be positive for this city. With a new government comes new jobs, and that is great news for housing. Premium suburbs in Adelaide are doing particularly well. We now have 23 suburbs in the $1 million price bracket. In 2018, Hobart didn't quite hit double-digit growth. However, in 2019, we do expect growth to continue. The recovery in Perth is stop-start and has been completely derailed by the Royal Commission. The best thing for Perth right now is an easing up of finance and the completion of the federal election. Once these 2 factors are out the way, the market should be more stable. The fundamental drivers of housing demand are positive in Perth. We're seeing elevated levels of rental demand and we're also seeing jobs growth. Price rises, however, are being restricted by access to finance and concerns about the federal election. If you're looking to buy in Perth, now could be a great time to find a bargain.